Okay, good day again. Good morning, good night, good evening. Today we're going to talk about instructional design again, but today we're going to talk about the attributes of instructional design. What we mean in our last video, we talked about designer instruction, just as they are designer bags. Now, if you look at the designer bags, a designer bag, a bag would have a handle, it would have maybe a little purse, it would have a size, a length, you know, we're talking about the attributes of a bag. If you're talking about a house, then a house would have windows, doors, flooring, shelves, roofs, different things like that make up the house. So when we design those characteristics. Think of anything. If you're designing food, the attributes and characteristics of food, those are taste, color, texture, appearance, smell, shelf life. All of these are characteristics of food. And when you're designing food, you got to think about those things. So when you're designing instruction, what are the things instruction should have? That's the point. The point is when we design instruction, we must think about what are the attributes. Let's think about something else we know. Let's take, for instance, a car. If you're designing a car will have doors, a car will have speed, a car will have what maybe kind of fuel it uses, how many seats the car will have, different things like that. Those would be the characteristics. I want you to think about anything you might want to design and think about what features and characteristics it would have. Designing instruction is about the same thing. But instruction is a little abstract. It is not like designing a computer or designing a house or designing a bag, because when we design that, the attributes, we can see it and feel it. If you're designing maybe a table, you have the length of the table, you have the width of the table, you have the height of the table, what material the table is made of. Those things are very easy for us to grasp. But when we're designing instruction, that's a little bit more difficult, right? So I want to tell you what are these things you will have to do when you design instruction, what features the instruction would have. I want to start with the number one. And Morrison, Ross, Kemp, and Kalman, in their book, Designing Effective Instruction, they talk about the instructional problem. All instruction must have an instructional problem. Therefore, instructional problem is a characteristic of instruction. Designer instruction will have an instructional problem. We will discuss in another video what is an instructional problem. A designer instruction must have what else? What else does instruction have? It must have people. Who are the people? The audience, the description of those audience. What is this instruction going to do for these people? That instruction depends on the people. Are they adults? Are they children? How old are they? What are their experiences? What do they know? What do they not know? All of these make up the description of the persons who will be doing the instruction. So when you design instruction, you have to talk about the people. That is normally called the context. You have to talk about the environment. Where will you be doing the instruction? So think of it. Designer instruction is about what is the instructional problem? Who are the persons? We call that the audience description. Then we have to talk about the environment where this will be taught. That is the environment. We call it the environment analysis. Some people like to call it the instructional analysis. But in this particular video, we're saying that's the environment analysis. So that's two things we talk about. One, instruction must have an instructional problem. Two, instruction must have what we call a context analysis. The context is a description of the audience and the environment and the different variables that would affect your instruction. Thirdly, your instruction must have content. Isn't that right? Oh, yes. You can't design instruction unless you talk about what content will go into the instruction, right? So those are three things instructions would have. Instructional problem, we know for sure it will have that. Two, it will have a context, and remember the context is a description of the audience or the persons who will be taking instruction. And three, it will have an environment. That's not all, but we will end there for today. And in part two of this video, we'll talk about the other characteristics of instruction. Designer instruction. What are the attributes that will go into your instruction that will make this instruction effective? If you don't have an instructional problem, what kind of instruction you'll have? If you don't have a context, do you think you could really design effective instruction? If you don't have an environment, these things are necessary for your instruction to be effective. So you take care, have a good time, and I hope this helps you.